are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks, and yourself, Nicola. It's good to speak with you again.
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. So everyone doesn't know you as well as I do, so please introduce yourself and tell them where you stay.
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name's Lloyd Hughes. I'm 36 years old, married with two crazy naughty little boys. They are aged 2 and 4. I am living in Singapore. I've been here since August 2016. I actually came across with my wife. She got a transfer with her company. Singapore, I'm not sure how many of you have been here before, but it's an extremely beautiful place. The first time I came here, I fell in love with it. It's safe, it's well run, it's clean, and probably the most important thing, it's a great place to raise a young family. So pleasure to meet you all today.
Yeah. So Lloyd, that actually takes me back because I think the first time you were in Singapore, you and I went there for a business trip.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. And that was probably the day that I said, this is somewhere I would love to live. And after we came that trip, as you know, I did my MBA and we could choose wherever we wanted to go to do our international course, whether that be in Europe or the US or even in Asia. And one of the options was Singapore and Vietnam. And I put my hand up there very quickly and, Singapore it was. And I came back here and I was just like, this is 100% the place I want to be.
Awesome. Lloyd, you were struggling with the food back then, though. How are you doing with the food now?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I got a little bit of burki in me. So the nice thing is that they do have biltong here. There is a South African shop here. So, I'm probably spending half of my earnings on biltong and braaivleis and all of that jazz. So there is a big South African community. So that's great. And then obviously you do adjust and you do eat a lot more of the Asian food. So, things like the fried rice and dumplings and so on. And I love the spicy food. So the nice thing about Singapore is because there's so many different nationalities and cultures here, you got everything. So whether that be the Indian food, the Italian, the obviously, as I mentioned. So it's a nice mix.
Oh, awesome. So Lloyd, tell us a bit about being in lockdown in Singapore, living in a flat. How has it been and how long have you guys been in lockdown for?
Yeah, so it's obviously probably not as nice as being in South Africa. I would say South Africa, at least you have your own pool, you have a garden. Here we live in a condo. We are lucky enough to live on the bottom floor of the condo, so which means that we have our patio. It's probably not the biggest place, but it's a 3-bedroom place. So what my wife and I have done is we first tried to work together in the same room. That didn't work out too well. She says I'm extremely loud and always on the phone. I don't understand her. So under the circumstances, we've made it work. How long have we been in lockdown? So we've been working from home from, I would say, middle to end of February. Our government started placing some restrictions, I would say, in the beginning of March. And then the full lockdown probably started towards the end of March, beginning of April. Where actually last week, and that was meant to come to an end in the first week of May, the 4th of May. But last week, they actually made an announcement that it's been extended up until the first week of June, unfortunately. The reason being is because there's been a large number of work permit holders. And those are essentially the guys that are, doing a lot of the blue collar work and they're living in dormitories. And there's probably hundreds of them in one dormitory at any given time. So unfortunately, the cases have all of a sudden shot up through the roof. So with that said, they've gone into stricter measures. So as an example, only essential services can go into the office. So or go to work. So if you are working in a grocery store or you're a healthcare worker, also every time you leave the house, you need to wear a mask. Things such as you're allowed to exercise, which is quite nice, but you're only allowed to exercise within your neighborhood and as an individual. So you can't work with your exercise with your family or obviously not a group. And also the last thing is restaurants are closed. However, we can still at least get takeaways.
Yeah. So I think you're in the same spot as us because the boys are really locked up in the house and they don't understand. They're like, when can we go back to school? Nicholas was also putting his backpack on the other day and he said, okay, he wants to go to school now. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's lockdown. So
I know.
It's hard.
They miss their friends. It's tough. They don't know. They obviously know about the virus, but you know, they don't understand why they can't go to the pool, or you know, because it's 33 degrees every single day with 100% humidity. It's hot. So, you know, anytime between 11 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, you stay indoors or you're at the pool. So,
so your blow-up pool was an essential service.
It was an essential service, exactly. We got a little whale that squirts water. The boys love it. You know, they jump around. We actually have like a little blow-up jumping castle inside our lounge at the moment now. We turn in our house into one sort of big McDonald's at the moment, just like big playpen to keep them entertained, you know. So unfortunately, we work all day. There's 2 working parents here. We do have a helper, but obviously we don't want to you know, schooling the kids full time. It is a big responsibility.
How are you guys coping emotionally? I mean, it sounds like you haven't really been in hectic lockdown. It's like getting worse now, and it sounds like the cases are increasing now. So are you stressing, or how are you feeling?
Yeah, definitely. So the emotions that sort of come to mind, probably I would say stressed, anxious, tired, frustrated. And the reason I would say those words come to mind, you know, stress from a work perspective, living in Singapore, it's obviously it's an expensive place. Number one. Number two, if you don't have a job or you're not employed, you got 30 days and you got to be out of this country. So thank goodness both Kim and I have jobs. So touch wood, if anything had to happen to either one of us, we would fall under the other as a dependent. However, that's still not a good enough situation because it's so expensive. We need two salaries to survive here. Also, I would say from managing the boys in terms of the schoolwork, you know, it's tough. You know, so we get an email the day before every single day where we got to do some school activities with them, and it's a 2, 3, maybe a 4-hour exercise, and we just don't have the capacity to do it. So, you know, unfortunately, the boys have had to play second fiddle to that. You know, in terms of being anxious, I feel like we always feel like, well, me at least, maybe Kim is different, that you feel like you're waiting for some bad news, whether that be from work or the government, or even just from friends and family back in South Africa, or, you know, Kim's family live across the border, and, you know, so we worry about them as well. And I would say frustrated because, you know, we sort of stuck. You know, I suppose once again, there's worse places to be, but when you're confined to the, you know, your 4 walls, you know, with very hyperactive boys, it can be frustrating.
It tests your patience to the end. How are you feeling, Kim?
Tell us your feelings.
So, Nicola, I think like I look at it a little bit differently. I mean, obviously my biggest worry is my mom and dad, that I can't get to them and they're so close. And I think, you know, like my dad's got cancer. So that's my biggest worry. And the fact that they may do cost reductions at work. That's my only worry. Other than that, I've loved being with the boys like every day. As much as it's so hectic, they thrive being around us all the time. Like I can just see the difference in Harrison. He's a different child. They love being with us. And quite frankly, like he misses school, but he's very happy to be at home with us all the time. So as much as it's like, it's difficult because you can't go out and you don't know what's going to happen. I think it also brings you down to like what's really important, especially like I love just being with the family, you know, and yes, we can't see our friends, but at the end of the day, it's that little unit that you have that keeps you going anyway. So
that's beautiful. I'm getting goosebumps. It's lovely.
I love that. No, and it's the honest truth. Like, I really don't feel that it's been a negative impact on us, except for the financial worry and not being able to get to my parents. Otherwise, I think we're good.
Okay, that's awesome. And Lloyd, from your side, one last positive message to share with everyone?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think Kim touched on the fact that it's nice that we get to obviously spend more time with the boys, with our family. Both Kim and I travel a hell of a lot. Like, it's to the extent where we manage each other's diaries that, okay, you travel this week, I travel next week. Kim's in India one week, I'm in Indonesia the next week, she's in China one week, I'm in Malaysia the following week. So it's honestly, you know, that at one stage has actually became so crazy that Harrison was actually starting to become like anxious about it. So it's really great that we obviously get to spend a lot more time together.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the main thing as well. Obviously, thank goodness for technology that we get now to obviously, still speak to our friends and family. We do things such as like video conferencing calls with our family back home, our friends. We do online quizzes. We obviously try to keep ourselves as busy as possible, because this is not going anywhere. We still have another month, and a place like Singapore is not a place where you want to break rules, like some other countries. So where they tell you are not allowed to leave your house, you do not leave your house unless you have no food left in your house. So those are some of the things how we sort of keep ourselves busy as well. I suppose also from, without sounding like I'm going too green, but I suppose if you take a picture, take a step back, I think it was probably important for the world and, the globe to sort of stop and reboot, in terms of what was going on with the world, in terms of protesting, pollution, wars and so on. Like you put all that other stuff aside, I think it's a good thing as well for the world. A lot of small business owners would probably disagree with me. But if you had to take that as a positive, I think that is something that's positive that happened out of the situation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's just made us more conscious, and that we can live in the moment. Sure. Wow. So I think your boys are so blessed to now have the two traveling parents at home. So you might feel all locked up, but I'm sure they're loving it. Wow.
Yeah. The little one, I think he's very frustrated because I can see how naughty he's got. But I think it's going to be a problem when things go back to normal, because then we have to start living again,
Hopefully there'll be a new normal. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I think that's also something that like we've been talking about and thinking about. Kim's work is really like forward thinking, where they do rotating desks.
Yeah, I work from home most days.
Yeah. So Kim works from home. So when she's not traveling, she works from home, and she only needs to go into the office like once a week if she's not traveling. My company, we go in every day, but we're surviving. Our numbers have come out and the company's doing okay. So is this a way forward? That do you need to be in the office all the time? Same with clients. You need to be traveling, saving on budgets and so on. So that's a different way to think about, the way of doing business, at least, as well.
Yeah. So if you're still getting your work done, you're getting the sales in, you're getting your clients' engagements through these types of platforms, then wow, that's been so insightful. Kim, yes?
Sorry, Nicola, I actually think you work more at home than in the office, because you just don't switch off, especially if you isolate yourself. Like, you don't take lunch. You actually have to remind yourself, like, it's dinner time. I need to go now and spend time with the boys. And like, for instance, I do a lot of US calls at night, so I need to like block out my diary from 6 to 8:30, because that's boys' bedtime. That's it. Otherwise, you just carry on. So I think you work a lot more. So companies might actually start getting more out of their staff members.
Could be.
No. That's been my experience. I agree. I've been working from dawn to dusk, and it's just been crazy. So you guys are getting ready for your afternoon time. It's 10 a.m. here. It's afternoon there. So you guys have a great evening, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Nicola.
We'll catch up soon.
Definitely, we should.
Cool.
Thank you. Cheers,